Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'm retired Army Colonel Eugenia Thornton, and on behalf of the Delaware Commissions of Veterans Affairs and the Military Officers of America Association, welcome to today's ceremony. The War Memorial contains the names of 15,000 Delaware and New Jersey service members who perished during World War II and the Korean War. At this time, we ask that you observe a moment of silence for those names inscribed on the memorial and for those who have worn our nation's military uniform. And now, please rise for the presentation of colors by the Delaware National Guard Joint Honor Guard and our national anthem sung by Staff Sergeant Mary Kate Hall. Present the colors.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red with the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please be seated. And now I ask Chaplain Paul Buck, Department of Veterans Affairs, to come forward and deliver our invocation.
Would you please pray with me? Almighty God and our Heavenly Father, we invoke your blessing upon this ceremony as we remember and honor those who have made the ultimate sacrifice for our freedom. Your word says, "Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted." We ask for your comfort on all those who mourn the loss of their loved ones who have died in service to our nation. We honor their sacrifice, dedication, and courage. We thank you for our soldiers, sailors, airmen and women, Marines, Coast Guards, men and women who are serving in the footsteps of those who have gone before them. Keep them and protect them as they protect us. May your peace, provision, and strength fill their lives and their families. Help us all to stay strong and courageous, to face the challenges of each day with complete trust in your mighty power. May what we do each day contribute to the lasting peace in our world. This is our prayer in your holy name. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain. At this time, we would like to recognize our distinguished guests in the audience. The 47th Vice President, Joe Biden, and his wife, Dr. Jill Biden. The Governor of the State of Delaware, John Carney. The Lieutenant Governor of the State of Delaware, Bethany Hall Long. U.S. Senator Chris Coons. Representing U.S. Senator Thomas Carper, Bonnie Wu. U.S. Representative Lisa Blunt Rochester. Delaware Secretary of State Jeff Bullock. Delaware Treasurer Colleen Davis. Delaware Auditor Kathleen McGinnis. Delaware Insurance Commissioner Trinidad Navarro. The Adjutant General, Delaware National Guard, Major General Mike Berry. The retired Adjutant General, Delaware National Guard, General Frank Vavala. Civilian aide to the Secretary of the Army, Brigadier General retired Terry Wiley. State Senator Brian Townsend. State Senator Darius Brown. State Representative John Kowalko. State Representative Franklin Cook. State Representative Melissa Minor Brown. State Representative Paul Baumbach. State Representative Namdi Chuwocha. Newcastle Recorder of Deeds Michael Kazanowski. Frederica Mayor William Gladden. Newark City Council Member James Horing. Frederica Town Council Member Rick Maddock. Newcastle Executive Matt Mayer. Former State Senator Nancy Cook. Executive Director, Delaware River and Bay Authority, Tom Cook. Director, Wilmington VA Medical Center, Vince Kane. Executive Director, Delaware Commission of Veterans Affairs, Lawrence Kirby. Chairperson, Commissions of Veterans Affairs, Colonel Angela Schauer. Commissioners, Delaware Commission of Veterans Affairs. Please stand. Our our Gold Star families please stand? Unfortunately, time does not permit us to acknowledge all of our distinguished guests here today. So we extend thanks to veterans, family members, veteran service organizations, and local officials in attendance. And now it is time for our Memorial Day messages. Please welcome the Honorable Joe Biden.
Thank you. Colonel, thank you very much. Governor, distinguished guests, Senator Coons, Gold Star parents, veterans, all. I was trying to think how many times I've been at this magnificent facility. And it started back in the early 70s. And I think the only time I've not been here is when I've been as vice president down at Arlington. And I just came to say, on behalf of Jill and myself and Bo's daughter, our granddaughter Natalie, that we're delighted to be here. You know, it's a long-standing tradition here in Delaware that is, I think, one of the finest traditions we have in the country. And it not only brings our two states together, but it brings together the people that are most important. You all have been literally the backbone, the sinew, the muscle of America. And I know for the Gold Star families, this is a bittersweet day. It's a tough day all the time, no matter how much time has passed. 4 years ago today, we lost Natalie's dad, and on the same day. And Bo cared a great deal about being here, and Natalie, our granddaughter, wanted to be here as well. And so, you all know the loss of a loved one is, it somehow, pain fades a little bit, but those moments when you remember are bittersweet, because they're the days that everything comes back, the pride as well as the pain. And I just want you to know that how much, and I don't think anyone will disagree with this, how much we owe all of you. We owe you so much for what you do. And Memorial Day is a day that we should be reaffirming the promise that we made, that every single person, man, woman, that we ever send into battle, that they are prepared and equipped and have the full support of the country. In addition to the commitment, the only sacred commitment we have as a nation. I know many have heard me say this over the years. We have a lot of commitments to our children, to the elderly, but there's only one sacred commitment. And that commitment is to those we send into battle, to be sure that they're equipped, but also to take care of their families when they're gone and if they don't come home. And so, folks, there was a quote that our son used to use. It was attributed to George Washington, but I've later learned I'm not sure it's Washington's quote. It said, "The willingness with which young people are likely to serve in war, no matter how justified, is in direct proportion to what they perceive to be how the veterans of earlier wars were treated and appreciated by their peers." All of you are deeply, deeply appreciated. And, since 9/11, I started when I was a United States Senator wanting to know exactly how many people who are lost in our wars. And I carry with me my schedule every day. My schedule, there is a provision that I have where my staff used to have to call the Defense Department in the morning. Now you can get it online. The exact number of people, not generally, the exact number of people who were killed or wounded in Afghanistan and Iraq. And today that number is 6,866 troops that have died in those two theaters. Not roughly 6,800, 6,866. And those wounded were 52,787. And we don't even have a clear count, close to 300,000 coming home from those two wars with post-traumatic stress and the needs that they have. And so I hope that, I know all of you, but I hope all of our fellow citizens understand that this obligation goes on long after the parades are over, long after the wars end, long after all is changed. Because the fact of the matter is that we have to uphold the honor that you all fought for, the honor and decency of who you are, realizing there are things that are bigger than us as individuals, like your sons, daughters, mothers, fathers, uncles, aunts understood. You know, America is an idea that's stronger than any army, that is bigger than any ocean, and that is more powerful than any tyrant or dictator. And the idea is worth fighting for. And the idea is that, in fact, this is a place where we do believe that everyone should be treated equal. Everyone should be free. Everyone. And that's what these women and men have fought for. And as beneficiaries of their bravery, we are charged to meet their legacy, to continue to fight, to turn this nation toward our better angels, as Lincoln said, and care for all those who do so much for us. Ladies and gentlemen, I say to all of you here present, this is like preaching to the choir, I know, but God love you for what you've done. God love you what you continue to do, and may God protect our troops, because there's still troops in harm's way as I speak. Thank you for remembering. God love you.
Please welcome the Governor of the State of Delaware, John Carney.
Thank you very much. I want to thank everyone who's come out today to join us this morning. Most of you are here with us each year. Special thanks to the 47th Vice President of the United States, who you just heard from, and Dr. Biden and Natalie. We love Bo too, and we feel that pain as well. We're just honored by your presence. As you reminisce, I don't think there's anybody under this tent who's attended this ceremony more times than you, going back to your days as our United States Senator, but frankly, before we had this tent. And when it rained, we'd be in the maintenance shop across the road, and it rained often. But we're delighted to have you and Dr. Biden and Natalie with us this morning to recognize our Gold Star families and our veterans. Special thanks to the delegation who's here. Appreciate you being here, and we anticipate your remarks. Our Lieutenant Governor, thank you for being here. Lots of elected officials. I think we should have the Vice President here every year. We get a big turnout of folks here to join us. Special recognition, if I may, for our new Adjutant General of the Delaware Air and Army National Guard, General Mike Berry. He was recognized earlier, but this is his first presence here as our new Adjutant General. Please help me. Okay, Mike, no standing ovations, no more applause than the governor gets. General Vavla, you've learned the right thing. Sit next to General Vavla and you're going to be fine. General Berry has his leadership team. We appreciate all of those. Our Commission of Veterans Affairs, thank you for what you do every day and your efforts at this event. And of course, Tom Cook and the DRBA and the commissioners, thank you for what you do to make this a special event each year, at Veterans Day as well. Unfortunately, about a month ago, we were forced to observe a Memorial Day of sorts here in Delaware. And that's because one of our own, Staff Sergeant Christopher Slutman, died on the line of duty in Afghanistan. And we mourn with Chris's widow, Shannon, their beautiful 3 girls, in services in New York City. He was a New York City firefighter and at the Bob Carpenter Center on his way to Arlington. We were inspired certainly by Chris's brothers and sisters in uniform, both his fellow Marines and his fellow New York City firefighters, as they marched their fallen brother to his final resting place. But most of all, we remembered. We remembered Chris's sacrifice, both in the way he lived his life, protecting and saving others, and in the way he gave it. And we remembered our obligation as a community, the Vice President referred to take care of Chris's family. And we acknowledge today, again, that obligation to our Gold Star families. We certainly appreciate you being here as you are each and every year. When you come face to face with the pain and loss that Chris Lutman's family and friends are experiencing, and then when you multiply it by the hundreds of thousands of Americans who've lost their lives in battle, you start to get some appreciation of what this day is really all about. One of the tributes that is most moving to me in the lead up to Memorial Day is as you drive around our state, you see so many houses, house to house, flying the American flag. And it's a beautiful sight. My hope is that the families like the Slutmans and our Gold Star families, and those of you here today who've lost loved ones in battles, friends and family, pass these flags and know that the families inside are saying a quiet prayer for you, and they're remembering. When I went with our congressional delegation to the dignified transfer at the Dover Air Force Base for Staff Sergeant Slutman, there were two other families there as well. They weren't Delawareans. They were the families of the two Marines who died alongside Staff Sergeant Slutman. And as we went around and greeted each of the family members, an aunt of one of the fallen Marines looked around at the faces overflowing with tears and said to me, she just kept saying over and over again, "What a waste, what a waste." And it's hard not to see it like that when Marines like those are cut down in the prime of their lives. You wonder what kind of lives they would have lived, what contributions they would have made to our country, if not for that roadside bomb. But I think there's more to it than that. If nothing else, we know that these Marines and these soldiers and these airmen and women have left a mark on the world more valuable than most. They've shown us what patriotism really means, what the ultimate sacrifice looks like, how bravery manifests, how good, honorable men and women ought to live, and how they ought to die. And so to the families of the fallen, especially our Gold Star mothers who are here, and their families, whether your loved one left this world a month ago or 50 years ago, I hope that you take as proof that your loved ones are remembered, they're cherished, and they're honored today by all of us. And to our veterans who are here and those active duty servicemen and women, thank you for your service. And may God bless each of you. May God bless the United States of America.
Please welcome U.S. Senator Chris Coons.
Thank you and good morning. To Lawrence Kirby, to General Barry, to all the members of the Delaware Commission of Veterans Affairs, thank you for your service and for hosting this remarkable event to the DRBA, and to everyone who serves so well, Tom Cook and others, at making this such a fantastic and important annual event. To Eugenia Thornton, thank you for your leadership of the Military Officers Association of America, our Delaware chapter, and serving as our MC today. And to all who have served, who will serve, and to our Gold Star families. who have forever sacrificed, thank you. We've come together for two simple reasons today: to remember and to honor. We're here to remember and to honor our fallen. As you've just heard our Governor, John Carney, describe in painful detail, to remember those moments when those who fell in service to our nation first returned to our soil at Dover Air Force Base. To remember the families who forever have a hole in their hearts, a shadow in their lives. And to remember and honor the parents who raised them, the siblings who loved them, the children who missed them, and to remember their sacrifice. Because it is only through their sacrifice that we remain a free nation. I will not soon, I hopefully will not ever, forget the dignified transfer Governor Carney just described. And it is a powerful reminder, standing on the flight line, as a family first confronts the reality of a flag-draped transfer case, and it first becomes powerfully real to them. Nothing we say can change the pain and the purpose of that moment. But it's also important to be reminded of how long that shadow extends. You know, Judy, you've given us a great gift in a memorial for Gold Star families here, which in the empty space of the fallen soldier reminds all of us of the empty space in your hearts. And I've just this morning, join the governor. It is so often that we talk about Gold Star parents, occasionally Gold Star siblings. But we have with us today George Higgins, who is a Gold Star son. George and I were visiting for a few moments before this ceremony began about his father, who served as a scout in Patton's army and was killed in 1944 in service in Germany. His presence here today is a reminder that the sacrifice of Gold Star families leaves a hole that lasts a lifetime, a generation, and that those who grow up without fathers and mothers who have fallen in service to our nation know something about the depth of that sacrifice that few of us will ever know. George, would you stand for a moment, please? So how do we best remember Chris Slepman? How do we best remember George Higgins' father? How do we best remember all who've fallen in Delaware, here and around the world in service to our nation? Of course, having a monument that has their names forever engraved is important. But frankly, having their names engraved on our hearts and having their names drive our actions is more important than ever. Major General John Logan, for whom the Logan House in Trolley Square is named, back 150 years ago in 1868, urged us to every year decorate the graves of the fallen with flowers and flags. He remarked that he hoped this tradition would continue each and every year, and he was aspirational until the last Civil War veteran should have passed. He would be thrilled to know that we still mark and honor Memorial Day so many years later, more than 150 years since he first penned these words. General Logan of Delaware urged us to guard the fallen's graves with sacred vigilance, to let no neglect, no ravages of time testify that we have forgotten the cost of a free and undivided republic. Last but most importantly, we honor those who've fallen by taking care of and loving and supporting those who have served, those who return to us and whom we can continue to honor. That's what Veterans Day is for, and I know this is Memorial Day, but a big part of Memorial Day is being present with those who've served and are still with us today. So many of you volunteer, work to remember our history through the Delaware Military Museum, volunteer with veteran service organizations, volunteer with our Veterans Home, or serve and work there. And I was blessed to spend a moment with a dear friend, Rick Evans, who's with us today. Rick was my favorite Newcastle County employee over the years we served together. And Rick, who's with us today, is a veteran of Operation Desert Storm and is the most positive, optimistic, faithful, and hopeful American I've ever met. Ladies and gentlemen, could you give a round of applause to Rick Evans, a great blessing to our nation. You know, remembering and honoring those who've fallen by supporting and caring for those who returned also requires those of us you elect to take the concerns of Gold Star families seriously. Some of you wonder whether those of us in Washington ever work across the aisle and get anything done. The press covers far too little of the genuinely positive things that happened. Last week, the Gold Star Families Tax Relief Act passed in the Senate, and my senior senator, veteran Tom Carper, was one of the advocates pushing for it. I was honored to join him in co-sponsoring it. It fixes a mistake in the tax bill that would have imposed a needless burden on Gold Star families. And I was so grateful for Delaware's Gold Star families who advocated for this. It got fixed. It should never have happened. We are still able to come together to support our veterans, Gold Star families. Let me last say, I think the most important thing any of us get to do for you, and no one knows this better than our former Vice President, Senator Joe Biden, is tireless advocacy for our constituents. If there is anything I can do as your senator, if there's anything Congresswoman Blunt Rochester can do, if there's anything Senator Tom Carper can do to advocate with the VA, please let us know. Put us in on your behalf. I want to introduce two folks from my team, Cynthia Amon and Cleo Jones, both veterans themselves. Cleo, a Marine Corps veteran, Cindy, an Army Guard veteran. Thank you for being with us, and thank you for your advocacy and for your service. Let me just say in closing, our nation calls for, our nation deserves, our nation yearns for leaders at all levels. And I am encouraged to see all the leaders of city, county, state, and federal government who are here with us today, a record turnout. We need leaders who understand the sacrifice of veterans. We need leaders who are measured and thoughtful and who know the world which your service and sacrifice helped build. 7 decades of peace and prosperity made possible by global alliances earned by the sacrifice of those who served in the Second World War, in the Korean War, and the Vietnam War. Mr. Vice President, to you and to Jill and to Natalie, thank you for the service and sacrifice of your wonderful son and father. We are honored to be with you today, and I look forward to standing with you as just such a leader. Thank you all very much, and God bless you.
Please welcome U.S. Representative Lisa Blunt Rochester.
Good morning. First, I'd like to recognize our Vice President, our Governor, our Senator, all the esteemed dignitaries, and everyone that is surrounding, from the law enforcement that are standing out there to General Timmons, who is standing over there. Woo! Woo! Carol Timmons. It's a beautiful thing to see you. It is a beautiful thing to see you. And it's beautiful to see all of you. I want to thank the Delaware Commission for Veterans Affairs, Military Officers Association of America, the Delaware River and Bay Authority for helping put this together. And I wanted to start off by just acknowledging the presence of the Biden family, especially on this very special day for you. For many of us who had the opportunity to know and work with Bo, he was a special person with a very special presence. He combined leadership with humility, something that we need. Humble servant leaders. And that's why your presence here today is so vital. When I think of him, I think of that service, humility, love, and especially the legacy. That legacy is the family, Natalie. That legacy is the foundation. That legacy is the work that all of us do each and every day. And so I wanted to just say thank you. Thank you for your service, because I know how difficult it is sometimes to turn pain into purpose. So we thank you so much for your service and for the life of Bo Biden. I'm going to clap. We joined here today to honor the sacrifice and remember those who have served our country around the world to defend us. Yesterday, I had the opportunity to fly out to Illinois to visit one of my Republican colleagues on a bipartisan trip to just try to do an exchange. And on that trip, I was taken to the Lincoln Memorial Library. And I was fortunate, they pulled out for us a copy of the Emancipation Proclamation, the 13th Amendment, and the Gettysburg Address. Now, I thought these would just be documents that I would say, how incredible. But standing there, I was overwhelmed. I was overcome with the fact that by the stroke of a pen, by the work and service of others, I'm able to stand here today to even have the right to vote. What you fight for, what you have fought for, is not just about land or power. It is about ideals. It is about principles. It is about these things that we declared in the Declaration of Independence, and that Constitution is our roadmap to get us there. That's why we're here. That's what the sacrifice was about. It was for those sacred ideals. And so, to the families, I thank you so much for your sacrifice. This year has been an incredible year. Going to the dignified transfer. One of the most moving moments in my life, to stand on that tarmac in the freezing cold and to see those families and know their struggle, to see a wife who is now a widow, a woman who was a fiance. It was an incredibly moving moment. But this weekend, I thought about the Gold Star families in a way I never had before. This weekend on Memorial Day, Saturday, instead of a barbecue, I went to the storage unit that housed my late husband's belongings. It took 4 years. 4 years. I would go to the unit and I would say, I don't have time to do this. I would work in Congress and say, I just don't have the time to do it. And it really wasn't a lack of time that caused it to be 4 years. I think it was facing what was stored in that unit. But it wasn't about the clothes or the books. When I walked out with the love and the memories. And so for you, the families, I am reminded of the day that I died, my husband died, and the vice president called the hospital and said to me, there will come a moment when your loved one's memory brings a smile to your face before it brings a tear to your eye. Service has brought that smile back to my face. And I want you to know that on this day, as we remember, may you be comforted. May we all be comforted. May we be grateful. May we all be grateful for their sacrifice. May we be uplifted by their example and by the example of those who serve, like General Vavala and Timmons. And lastly, may we be recommitted. Our work is not done. For that more perfect union, for the ideals and principles for which they fought and for which they fight. I thank you. I wear my poppy red suit today in honor. The 75th anniversary of D-Day is coming. And we do this for you. We do this for Rick. We do this, the work that we do, to make sure that those of you who have served have the benefits and the support. Those of you who are family also have our love and support. I thank you. I love you. And God bless America.
Please welcome Vice Chair, House Veterans Affairs Committee, Nnamdi Chiwoju.
Good morning. Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank Vice President Biden for being here, and Governor, for all of the elected officials, and on behalf of the members of the 150th General Assembly, for Speaker Schwarzkopf, Majority Leader Longhurst, and our Veterans Chair, Representative Jakes, who afforded me the opportunity as a new incoming member of the Veterans Committee to speak today. I thank them for this opportunity to just share a few words. As a proud veteran of the United States Army and a proud Delawarean, I often speak of my times, and thankfully, and I have a twin brother, some may know, we both served at the same time, and my brother was stationed in Georgia. His unit was sent to the first Iraqi war, and I was in Alaska because it was cold weather unit. I didn't have to go, and I felt lucky because I didn't have to go, but I was there every single day with my brother. And when my brother returned home, he wasn't the brother that I remember. And it's something that you carry every day when you think about service. And I'll never forget one of my proudest moments of being a Delawarean. My unit was on post support in Fort Wainwright, and we were inside of the automotive shed. And we were there for the whole weekend. We had to work all weekend, and I go to the garage, and I was told to do something, and I go to the sink, and it was an eye wash sink, and it said Speakman. And I clapped my hands like, oh, that's from going to Delaware. No one else cared, but I was proud that Speakman was there with me. And it's something I will never forget, that moment of realizing where this was made, the Speakman factory, a few blocks from my home, and it meant a lot to me. And since I've been in the General Assembly, I know what it means. My motto for life is service beyond self, and I'm learning what it really means to serve our state. We had some fine examples that were mentioned. Many have mentioned Bo Biden, his service, and how we go about going beyond ourselves. I thought about what it means and truly for our nation to remember. And my brother and I, as the poet laureates, we wrote a poem for Veterans Day, and we sat down on Sunday and we wrote it. And then last night I was preparing and I was rehearsing the poem, and I happened to be watching the news, and I was troubled by what I seen, and it gave me new words for a new poem today, and I'll share it with you. And it was really about the difference between the Memorial Day that we have today and the Memorial Day that was on Monday, where it was a different type of holiday, but this is truly a day, and it talks about the difference between the days. And I entitled the poem that there are some days are just more authentic than others. What is a world without heroes? They say the conscience of our nation is being lost. But morally, we must remember what you lived for, what you fought for, and more importantly, what you died for. We sit in peace in these humbling, quiet moments. It is now that we must remember your valor at war, your service, living and giving beyond self, putting our nation first. Unmeasurable the investments you made in this nation, from the world's greatest battlefields to small social conflicts. You helped to repair discord and despair. Today, we remember you for the way you cared. See, some days are just more authentic than others. See, this is Memorial Day, not just about parades or a 3-day weekend or barbecues. On this day, we remember you. We take this moment to honor you, to honor your Gold Star families, to honor our fallen soldiers, our Marines, our infantrymen and women, our sailors, our pilots, our cooks, our medics, our mechanics. We honor you. From our generals to our privates, from those enlisted to those commissioned, those who refuse to give up on their missions, we honor you. For those who serve with honor and dignity, for those who fought with all their worth to help make this nation the greatest on earth. This Memorial Day, we salute you as we honor you for believing in our nation, for standing up to our enemies. We honor you for your memories. We honor you. We cherish your belief in our nation. Because of your dedication, it is simply to see why we are a better nation. Because of your love for this nation, we honor your bravery and we salute your service. Because of you, we are the land of the free and the home of the brave. But may we never forget your service and the sacrifices that you've made. See, some days are just more authentic than others. Today it is a privilege to honor names like Senator John McCain. Despite the Oval Office's acts of shame, today our actions and our words give you the admiration and a presidential level of respect that you truly deserve. For those who return home never to be the same, for those who were scarred by war, for those who could never speak a word of what happened, for those who live lives and have given things that we could never imagine. We thank you. We thank you for your sacrifice. We thank you for paying the ultimate price so that we could live a better life. You are the thread that held our nation together at its seams so that our children tomorrow can peacefully dream. See, some days are just more authentic than others. So today we remember you. We remember all that you gave. We thank you for your selfless sacrifices that you've made. We thank you for your service. We thank you, and we shall always remember. Thank you.
Leaders, thank you all for sharing your memorial tributes. At this time, will Chaplain Buck come forward and lead us in the memorial prayer?
Let us pray. Eternal God, the creator of all people, on this Memorial Day, we pay tribute to those soldiers, sailors, airmen and women, Marines and Coast Guards men and women who have made the supreme sacrifice of life itself for the preservation of the freedom of our beloved nation. They pay the price for all of us, and we owe them and their families a debt we cannot pay. For their devotion of duty, for their willingness to accept the responsibilities of a solemn, sacred mission, we give you thanks. As we remember and honor their lives, their deeds, and their sacrifices, may we again resolve that their deaths should not have been in vain. May we continue to confront those who would spread tyranny and terrorism with strength and courage coming from above. We ask Almighty God that you will surround our military members, especially those deployed around the world, and their families with your hand of protection to keep them and comfort them. Empower us to do what we can to bring healing and restoration to our returning veterans. This is our prayer in your holy name. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain. And now Mary Kate Hall will lead us in God Bless America.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Please be seated. Thank you, Sergeant, for sharing your gift of song with us today. It's time now for the Floral Tributes. As I read your organization's names, please come forward and place your flower honoring our veterans. Gold Star Family, Delaware Chapter. The Honorable Joe Biden, 47th Vice President, and Dr. Jill Biden. The Honorable John Carney, Governor, State of Delaware. The Honorable Bethany Hall Long, Lieutenant Governor. The Honorable Chris Coons, U.S. Senator. The Honorable Lisa Blunt Rochester, U.S. Congresswoman. The Delaware General Assembly. American Ex-POWs, Delaware Chapter 1, Incorporated. The American Legion and Auxiliary, Department of Delaware. American Legion and Auxiliary, Department of New Jersey. American Veterans. Americans of Polish Descent Cultural Society. Association of the U.S. Army, Delaware Chapter. Colonial Paralyzed Veterans of America. Delaware Commission of Veterans Affairs. Delaware Military Heritage and Education Foundation, Inc. Delaware National Guard. Delaware Patriot Guard. Delaware River and Bay Authority. Delaware Society, Daughters of the American Revolution. Delaware Society Sons of the American Revolution. Delaware Veterans, Inc. Department of Veterans Affairs Medical Center. Disabled American Veterans and Auxiliary, Department of Delaware. First State Military Women Warriors. Fleet Reserve Association. Heroes Welcome. Jewish War Veterans, Department of Delaware. Kamikaze Survivors Association. Korean War Veterans Association of Delaware. Marine Corps League and Auxiliary, Department of Delaware. Marine Corps League and Auxiliary, Department of New Jersey. Military Officers Association of America. Military Order of the Cootie and Auxiliary Grand of Delaware. Military Order of the Cootie and Auxiliary Grand of New Jersey. Military Order of the Devil Dogs, Pack of Delaware. Military Order of the Purple Heart. Military Order of the World Wars. National Association of Black Veterans, Delaware Chapter 94. Pilgrim Baptist Church Veterans Ministry. Purple Heart Riders. Scottish American Military Society, the First State Camp. Silent Service Motorcycle Club. Sons of the Union Veterans of the Civil War. The Reserve Officers Association of Delaware. The U.S. War Dogs Association, Incorporated. United States Department of Housing and Urban Development. United States Marine Corps. United States Navy. United States Coast Guard. United States Navy Cruiser Sailors Association. United States Submarine Veterans, Inc. Veterans of Foreign Wars and Auxiliary, Department of Delaware. Veterans of Foreign Wars and Auxiliary, Department of New Jersey. Vietnam Veterans of America, Delaware. Vietnam Veterans Motorcycle Club. Warrant Officers Association, First State Chapter. If your organization was not called and you wish to honor our veterans, please come forward at this time. And that was the Warrant Officers Association of the First State. Does anyone else want to come forward at this time? And now, Director Kirby will come forward for our closing remarks.
Vice President Biden, Dr. Biden, Governor Carney, state leadership, our veterans, family members, and Delaware citizens who are here. There's no way I can show you or tell you about the gratitude that we have for your continued attendance for our Memorial Day service. This is very special to us. I need not tell you why. We frequently receive questions, why do you do it on the 30th? How come you don't do it the federal holiday? We in Delaware, we like to commemorate whereas the 30th of May was first initiated in 1868, a couple of years after the Civil War, which tore our country apart. And as a result, they wanted to ensure that we remember those veterans who saw warfare that they had never seen before. There were vicious casualties, vicious injuries during that time period. So they decided this is what we need to do, is to recognize our service members and veterans back then. Fast forward to now, the Delaware Commission of Veterans Affairs, we are concerned with our 72,000 veterans. And we do that by ensuring that we take care of our veterans from 92 to 22. Anyone who's heard me speak before knows that that's that 92-year-old World War II veteran, and that's that 22-year-old Afghanistan era veteran, because quite frequently we sort of forget the younger veterans. World War II veterans came home, they industrialized our nation, they took care of business, they paved it for us. The Korean War veterans came home, but they were somewhat forgotten because folks were tired of World War II. The Vietnam veterans came home to San Francisco International Airport to vile receptions, and I'm glad that we're able to overcome that now. Our Cold War veterans, although they didn't deploy, they were still an integral part. So they came not necessarily home, but they came out and said, wow, we served too. Our Iraq and Afghanistan veterans, well, they're coming home because that conflict is still continuing, and they're wondering, when will it end? So 92 to 22, that's the significance. I'll leave you with this. All veterans, we think like it's not a matter of what you look like or your ethnicity or things of that nature. The one thing that I learned when I worked at the Dover Air Force Spaceport Mortuary, I identified fallen heroes. Hundreds of fallen heroes I had the honor of identifying. And I will tell you this much, there are two things that we have in common as service members and as veterans. When I would open a body bag, this is what I saw. I saw us, that's US, on the left pocket, stating that we're all together. I saw us, and I truly saw the red blood signifying that we all bleed red. So us and the blood that we have is the common denominator for us as service members, veterans, citizens of this great state of Delaware and our nation. And once again, I just want to thank you for your continued support.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the honor volley and plaintive taps. Honor guard. Post. This concludes our ceremony. Thank you all for coming.